This video is about popcorn, making the best popcorn. It will show you what you need to have, what you need to buy, and how to put all that together to make delicious, crunchy popcorn every time. Popcorn is maybe my favorite snack, and I've been making it for decades. I've also refined my technique over the years, adding and changing things until I can turn out a perfect batch every time. The first thing you'll need is a pot, preferably one that holds and spreads the heat evenly. Ideally, it will be at least as tall as it is wide, so the popcorn has some popping room. You don't want to pop the top off and have the popcorn flying all over. It shouldn't be too heavy because you will have to lift and shake it from time to time, but it shouldn't have hot spots that cook one area of the kernels too fast. If it does, you can still use the pot, but you'll have to shake it to spread the kernels more frequently. So what kind of popcorn should you buy? Brands aren't all that important, but you should get the best, freshest popcorn you can find. My standard is Orville Redenbacher or better. Where can you find better? Usually at farm stands or farm-to-market stores. They'll frequently have the freshest popcorn. Never buy popcorn in a plastic bag if you can help it, because it's likely to be old and dried out. My favorite is when the farm store or stand has it in glass mason jars with tight-fitting lids, but you can't always get that. Why is it important for the popcorn to be fresh and not dried out? The answer is moisture. There's a little bit of moisture in every popcorn kernel that turns into steam when it reaches the right temperature. If the popcorn is stale and dry, that moisture has gone away and there's no steam to make the popcorn pop. You wind up with a mouthful of hard, unpopped kernels, and we all know how horrible that can be. You'll need some oil as well. I use olive oil, but you can use pretty much whatever you want. I'd advise not using butter because it burns too easily. Olive oil has a low smoke point, but it's high enough for this slow cooking method. It's also really good for you. So let's begin. First, you want to put enough popcorn in the pot to cover the bottom to one layer of kernels. I usually do this dry before I put in the oil because if I accidentally pour in too much, I can take some out without getting my hands messy. Don't worry about getting it absolutely exact unless you're a perfectionist like me. Next, you pour in enough oil to coat every kernel. This is important. The oil spreads the heat around the kernels and prevents most of the moisture from escaping until it's popping time. After that, you put the pot on the range. It should be a gas range because that gives you quicker heat adjustments. This process can be done on an electric range, but that requires more work, and I don't recommend it. Put the heat on low. Not quite all the way low, but you should see a small but present flame that doesn't rise higher than the burner. The point of this is to let the popcorn kernels cook slowly and evenly so that you brown every kernel. It's like you're sautéing the kernels, cooking them through and through. This is what makes them crunchy, so that even if you do have an unpopped kernel or two, those should be crispy crunchy, not hard. Now you cover the pot. A clear lid works best, and just wait. You should be where you can hear things. From time to time, condensation will build up on the lid, and you'll hear a drop of water fall into the mix and sizzle, at which point you will want to wipe the condensation from the lid and replace the lid. You may have to repeat this a few times. Be sure to swirl the kernels around each time you do that so that the kernels will brown evenly. Eventually, usually around 10 or 12 minutes, but your mileage may vary, 1 or 2 kernels will pop. It's important that you're around to hear that, because at that point you take the pot off the flame and swirl the kernels, distributing the darker ones thoroughly with the lighter ones. Then you put the pot back on the heat and wait a couple more minutes until the next kernels start popping. At that point, you turn the heat up to high. In a minute or so, the kernels will all start popping. Once the pot is a little more than half full of popped kernels, you can remove the lid and start shaking from time to time. When the popping stops, pour the popcorn into a bowl. Don't worry if one or two strays pop late while you're pouring. Done. And you're done. You can salt and add butter or other toppings to taste. I like to grate Parmesan cheese on mine, but that's just me. The point is, you now have a bowl of perfect popcorn to eat whatever way you like it. Enjoy!